This is DiNapoli. Today I'd like to continue our discussion about the magnetic push buttons atop the DS3 transmitter. As you know, these buttons allow you to configure the transmitter, and 80, 85, 90% of the applications you're going to encounter, they're sufficient to set up the transmitter without the need for a hard handheld. Today I'd like to talk in particular about mode 7 and what you can do in mode 7 to correct for pressure offsets. How do we get pressure offsets? Well, we can get pressure offsets if the transmitter is not mounted level, if we had a remote seal that was above or below the transmitter, that will cause a pressure offset. Impulse lines filled with liquid, that will also cause some offsets. The example I'd like to go over is some impulse lines that are at different heights due to a pipe fitter having to route a line around something. Let's look at a horizontal pipe with an orifice plate. Well, coming off the high side tap of that orifice plate, or the upstream side of the orifice plate, we can come straight into the differential transmitter with the high side line. The low side line, however, which is downstream of the orifice plate, the low side line, he had to snake it around a girder or a pipe or something, and he had to go 4 inches above the tap point and then come down into the transmitter. Well, that's going to create an offset. It will create, if it's 4 inches difference in height, it will create a negative 4-inch offset. So how are we going to account for that? Well, what we could do is set up mode 5, which is what pressure equals 4 milliamps, and we could set that not at 0, but at minus 4 inches. Because when there's no flow, we have negative 4 inches acting on that transmitter because of the downstream tap being 4 inches higher than the upstream tap. All right, since we know we're going up 80 inches, we want 20 milliamperes to be 80 inches minus the 4 inches for the lower value, and that would be 76 inches. So we would set up mode 5 as negative 4 inches of water, mode 6 as positive 76 inches of water, and that's the 0 to 80 inches that our orifice plate is going to generate to represent 0 to 100 GPM. That's kind of confusing, though. That kind of, for a person to think about, is a little difficult. What I propose you do is this. Set mode 5 equal to 0 inches. We want 0 inches to represent no flow. Set mode 6 to 80 inches of water pressure. Now you come into mode 7 and you can do your correction. There are two things that can happen to you when you're trying to do your correction. Number one, if you can shut flow off, that's the scenario that I'd like to talk about first. If you can shut flow off, you come into mode 7, and what are you going to see? Because the line is still full of water, you're going to see 0 inches on the high side, but on the low side, the downstream side, since our pipe fitter had to go up over a beam or a pipe or something, as I said, we're going to see negative 4 inches when we come into mode 7. How are we going to correct for it? We're going to take the plus and the minus button, hold them down simultaneously, and we're going to come up from negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and we'll stop at 0 by holding both buttons down. We have elevated that pressure offset 4 inches. Now the output will be based upon 0 to 80 inches, and that's what we've set up in modes 5 and 6, and now the output will be perfectly fine, and we'll see our 0 to 100 GPM on the display. The other scenario is one you may encounter more often, and that is the owner says, I can't shut flow off. I can't do anything, still have that flow, I don't want to shut it off, things are that way. All is not lost. What you can do is, again, mode 5 is equal to 0, mode 6 is equal to 80 inches of water, come into mode 7, and we see in mode 7, let's pick a number, 20.1 inches of water is being generated by that orifice plate at this moment in time. Well, since we measured the offset of the pipe as 4 inches, we know that the 20.1 inches of water that we are reading at this point is 4 inches low. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the up button in mode 7 and we're going to go from 20.1, 21.1, 22.1, 23.1, 24.1, and we're going to stop at that point in time. We have now elevated that signal 4 inches to give us the proper answer of 24 inches being generated by that orifice plate at this moment in time. We move on through all the modes, put the display back in the run mode with no mode showing, and you're done. That's the power of mode 7. Even with an orifice plate, given that you've set up the display to read in GPM, in mode 7 you can still correct for the pressure offsets caused by, in this case, an offset in the impulse lines. Thanks for your time. I hope it was clear and informative. If you have any need for help, continued help, just give us a call at tech support. We're there to support you.